Okay, all good to get started? Cool. All right. So again, welcome everybody. My name is Galet Bolaños, and I am a retention specialist at the Academic Advancement Center. I've been here for about 5 years, and I really love it. One of the things that I have noticed is that there is a lot of academic procedures and deadlines, policies that a lot of students aren't aware of. And they are aware of, but they don't know the full gist of it. And so this is why I wanted to go ahead and provide this. And so, yeah, please, again, know that in the chat feature, there is also your evaluation link. So please go ahead and fill that out as the presentation is going on, and make sure to submit that by the end of the presentation. That is how you're going to receive your credit for receiving, for attending this CLF. Okay. All right, awesome. So here is a few of the, here are the topics that we're going to go ahead and cover today in today's presentation. All right, so we're going to talk, get a little bit into major, minor, and concentration. We will also talk about all university core curriculum, AUCC classes. We will talk about repeat delete, everything about that. We will talk about drop and withdrawals, satisfactory academic progress, exactly what that is, university and retroactive withdrawals as well, and talking about appeals. Okay, and again with this, we're going to talk about the just the overview of it, the procedures, and the deadlines. Again, that's the title of this presentation. All right, so to begin, we have major, minor, and concentration. Feel free to either unmute yourself or chat, but yeah, I'm just wanting to know like what you all's majors are and how you went about in choosing those. Okay, so please know you can put that. That's great if you do. If not, that's okay as well. Okay, so with the major, please know that most majors, not every major, but most of them do require 120 credits of graduation. Okay, simply broken down, if you want to graduate in 4 years, that's 15 credits a semester. Fall and spring, 15 and 15, that's 30. Times 4, that's 120. Okay, that's the simplest way to put it. But there's different factors, right? We know that there are students coming in with credits already. Maybe that you're a transfer student. Maybe you're taking summer classes, right? There's so many different factors. Okay, however, that's the majority of majors that do require 120 credits. Now, does anybody know what the difference is between a minor and a concentration? Put it in the chat feature, let me know.
I can take a guess.
Awesome.
I'm a business administration major, and we have concentration, so we like specialize in certain things to make up our business administration degree. And a minor, I'm assuming, is similar.
Okay, and what's the difference though?
I have no idea.
No, that was really good. Thank you for sharing that. You're right. So a concentration is specifically related to your major. All right. So let's say you're majoring in business, right? And you want to specifically concentrate in accounting, or maybe it's like what's another business concentration, like HR.
Marketing, real estate, yeah.
Real estate, yeah, those are all concentrations, right? A minor is different because a minor doesn't have to be specifically related to that major. Okay, a minor can be totally different. It could be history, or you can minor in biology or math, right? It has nothing to do with it. It doesn't have to do anything with your major. However, it's good to, when you do, or if you choose a minor, it's good to choose something that is related to it. That way you can kind of overlap some of the required credits, and it can lead you to like a career or an opportunity that, again, that both of those are requirements, or that, again, you can use the information from each of those for that experience that you're getting. Okay. And so the other thing is changing your major or your minor. I'm not sure if anybody here has ever done that, has ever changed their major or minor, but the process is it's fairly simple. Okay, you can actually change your major or your minor with a major minor request form. Okay, and this is going to be done over. This is going to be from the registrar's office. I have, just so you all know, that I have a link, I'm sorry, a page with a bunch of links that I'm going to make sure that, that I send to you all that has that information. Okay, but that's how it's done. Please know that if you do decide to ever change your major or your minor or add a major or minor, that you first want to talk with your academic advisor. Okay, talk with your retention specialist. The reason for this is because you need to know about the impacts of it. You need to know how this might change your financial status. You need to know how this might change your your intended graduation date, and even registering for classes for the next semester. Okay, so it's really important that you do that. Okay, let's see here, and there really is no hard deadline for changing your major. Okay, now yeah, like you can change your major as much times as you want. So for example, me, when I was an undergrad at CSU, I ended up changing my major 4 times, realizing that like it's okay to do so. If I'm in a major where I realize it's not my route, I'm not doing so well in it, I'm not excited about it, then it's okay to do so. There is no deadline, but it is recommended that you do have your major selected, your firm major that you want to graduate with by the 2nd semester of your sophomore year, or before 60 credits. Okay. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and jump onto the next slide. So this slide is talking a little bit about all university core curriculum classes, or AUCC. I'm sure that all of you have heard about this. Can anybody share just a brief overview of what this is?
To my understanding, it's just like the common core like courses that everyone needs to take no matter the major that you have. So it's like there's like science and then a science lab and mathematics, comp. So
Yeah. Yep, exactly right. Kelly, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so it's, to put it in simple terms, yeah, it's our core classes. These are classes that you need to take regardless of what you major in. Okay, so it's really important that you know that, and that this consists of 3 categories. Okay, all university core curriculums consist of 3 categories. That's basic competencies, that's advanced writing, and that's foundations and perspectives. Okay, basic competencies is your math classes, your basic math classes, and it's your it's your composition 150 class. Okay, it's recommended that you take those classes before you reach 30 credits. Okay, and there is no deadline for this. All right, you can take your AUCC classes all the way through graduation. You don't have to complete them in your freshman year, your sophomore year. You can take them throughout. You can spread them out, or you can take them all at the very beginning. Now, there's pros and cons to doing that. Some students like to take all their AUCC classes at the very beginning, right? Their first few 3-4 semesters. That's because maybe they don't have a major yet, and knowing that, they don't want to take classes that they're not sure if they're going to major in, and so instead they do, okay, I'm just going to take AUCC classes because I know that regardless of what major I choose, they're still going to go towards that, and I'm not like falling behind. But the way some students take these all throughout their time, even junior and sophomore year, the reason they do this is because they like to have just non-major classes within their class schedule, right? If you're majoring in business, for example, maybe you do want to have a history class in there, or maybe you do want to have your Comp 300 class in there, right? That's just so that you're not so overwhelmed with just your major classes. So it's really up to you when you want to do that. But there is, again, there is no deadline. And obviously, I guess the deadline would be for you to graduate, so do it before graduation. But that's the basic overview of those, okay? Now, how do you find those? How do you know where those AUCC classes are? Well, that's also available on your RAM web. So on your RAM web in the main page, you can go to the menu, and then there's the drop down, and then there's going to be the general catalog. Okay, that's a great way for you to look at what AUCC classes are available, and again, the different categories, so that you can choose from those. Okay, that is also in the page, the link that I'm going to be providing for everybody. Okay, cool. All right, so now here is another topic that I want to talk about is repeat delete. Does anybody know what repeat delete is, or maybe not know what repeat delete is?
It's when you like don't get a good grade in a course. I think it's like mainly recommended for students that like perhaps like failed the course or didn't get a grade that they need for their department.
Mm-hmm.
It's also open, like let's say you get a C and you want to get a better grade on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you just like repeat the course. I don't know if there's like a timeline of like when you need to repeat it by.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's very good. Awesome. So yes, you're right. So this is your chance. Repeat delete means that you have a chance to retake any course that you've completed, and have what that would do is that would remove the previous grade. It would delete it from your transcript. Okay, so of course, yeah, it's recommended for students who maybe you got a bad grade in that class. Okay, and you're like, dang it, that really impacted my GPA. How can I take that out and get that replaced? Okay, well, again, that's your chance to take that class again, and hopefully get a better grade in it. That second grade you get will be the grade that gets on your transcript. The previous one is going to be removed. Now, it's my personal recommendation or my tip is that you use these. Again, you have 3 chances. You use these for maybe the upper division classes, or the classes that are specifically for your major. Okay, and that is because you know that those classes are more important. You probably know that those are going to be the more difficult classes. And so if it's like a required for your major, or if it's like a prerequisite class, then it's important that you actually have those options available for you to do that. You don't want to use your repeat delete classes for a 1-credit class, or for a lab, or for something that's like not really too significant towards your GPA. Okay. Now the procedure is that you basically it's that you let's say you failed. You're gonna fail, or not you, but let's say me. I'm gonna fail 125 math 125 this semester. Dang it, I received an F in this class this semester. Okay, so what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna re-enroll in that class for next semester. Once my registration opens up for spring of 2020, or I'm sorry, for spring of 2021, I'm gonna take that same math 125 class again and enroll in it just as if I'm taking it for the first time. However, there is another step. You wanna make sure that you submit the you request a repeat delete option, and this is going to be through your RAM web. Okay, now it's a pretty simple process that you do, and this is going to be let's see here. It's going to be found on your RAM web. You go to RAM web menu and then registration, and then you'll see the repeat delete option. However, you want to make sure that you do this before the repeat delete deadline. Okay, now that is usually 8 weeks into the semester, or like midway through the semester. Okay, now it's important that you do that before that. Okay, and this is also a good time because like 8 weeks into the semester, you have a pretty good idea of how you're doing in that class. Right? If you're at a point where you're like, you totally failed, like doing bad in that class, and you just know in your head that you can't pass it or that you can't recover, then it's probably better to take advantage of this repeat delete option. Okay. Now let's say that you miss that deadline. Maybe it's after that repeat delete deadline that that you realize, oh shoot, I'm gonna fail this class, or I don't like this class. I really need to take it again, but the deadline has already passed. You can still do that. You can still take advantage of the repeat delete option. However, it's gonna be through a different way. And this is gonna be through the registrar's office, where basically you submit that appeal, and you just put in some information in there. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then please allow a couple of weeks for it to process, and then they'll make sure that that previous grade gets deleted. And again, you just re-enroll in that class. Okay. I would also say that, so another thing is that you can delete a class from semesters ago. Okay, let's say I'm in my junior year, you know, and I want to repeat a class from my freshman year that I got an F in, or I got a D in. I can do that. It doesn't have to be the previous semester. I can repeat delete a class from semesters ago. Okay, so that's really cool. Again, you have 3 chances for that, and that's again my recommendation for when to use those. Okay, no questions there? Cool.
Actually, I have
Yeah.
a question. So what do you mean when you say that you have 3 chances? Do you like, does that mean that you can only repeat delete 3 classes in your whole like college experience, or is that just like for one particular class, like if you don't pass it like the 3 times or whatever?
Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, good question. Let me clarify there. So yeah, the first part, you were right. So you have 3 chances to repeat any class. Okay, so let's say I failed Math 125. Cool, I'm gonna repeat delete that. I got a better grade. Later, I failed Chem 111. That's my 2nd chance, and if I repeat delete that. Later on, I failed Business 220, and that's my 3rd chance. Okay,
and that's all that you get?
Yeah, and you get 3 chances throughout your entire time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and you can only repeat delete a class once. Okay, if I repeat delete Math 125 and I still got an F, then I can't repeat it a 3rd time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, so drop withdrawal. Anybody ever drop or withdraw from a class?
I have.
You have? Okay. Okay, I won't ask you why, but thanks. So dropping and withdrawing from classes, this is very critical. I hope that you all understand a little bit about, you know, how this impacts you, okay? So basically, let's first talk about dropping a class, okay? When you drop a class, basically what it does, it removes that course from your schedule, and it does not appear on a transcript. It does not count as an attempted course, and there is no financial charge to it. Okay, dropping a class is basically as if you never enrolled in it. Okay, now there is a deadline for that. Every single semester, you have until, let me see if I have that information here. I believe, does anybody know when the drop deadline is?
I think this semester it was September 9th.
September 9th. Yep,
Or
you're
was that
absolutely correct. Yeah, September 9th. That's for dropping classes. Again, you can do that any class. If you realize that in first week you see the professor, you got your syllabus, and it's not going so well, you're like, I don't like this class. Never mind. Then go ahead and drop it. No penalty will happen. Okay. Now, and that's how it is every single semester. So my recommendation or my tip is that you enroll in as many classes as you want, as you think you might want to take that semester, right? And like enroll in 18 credits. But as long as you drop, I'm sorry, that you Yeah, I'm sorry, that you drop the classes that you really decide that you don't want to take by the drop deadline, then you're okay, as long as you stay above 12 credits. Okay. Now, there is also the withdrawal deadline. Okay. Now, withdrawing from a class is a little bit different. All right. If you decide to withdraw from a class, then that will be on your transcript. Okay. That will be a financial cost. Okay. However, the difference is that it's the reason why students might withdraw from a class is because instead of receiving a bad letter grade, instead of getting lowering your GPA, you receive a W on your transcript, right? Instead of that F. Okay, so that can be really good for a lot of reasons, especially if you're trying to maintain your GPA, or you just weren't able to finish that semester for whatever reason. It's good to withdraw from the class. Okay, please know that there are some consequences to that. Okay, which I'm going to explain in a little bit. The way you do this, though, the procedure of this is pretty simple as well. Basically, it's all on RamWeb. Okay, so let's take a look here. RamWeb, and then there's a menu tab. You go to registration, just as if you were going to register a class. It's that same way. And then there's the actions tab, and then you can click on there whether you want to drop or withdraw from that class. Now, the withdrawal deadline is a little bit later into the semester as opposed to the drop deadline. And that's always going to be for every single semester. All right. The consequences are that you should be very careful when withdrawing from classes. All right. If you withdraw from too many classes, that can be bad. So there's also a thing which we're later going to talk about called satisfactory academic progress. You have to successfully complete a certain amount of your classes in order for you to remain in good standing and in order for you to continue to receive aid. All right. By withdrawing, that lowers that. Okay. That impacts it. And so please only drop if completely necessary. I'm sorry. I keep saying drop. Please only withdraw if only completely necessary. Okay, and it's always good to talk with your advisor, talk to your retention specialist before you decide to withdraw from any classes. All right. Any questions about withdrawing or dropping? All good? Okay, cool. All right, so now here is we're going to talk a little bit about satisfactory academic progress. So what is this? I'm not sure if anybody's heard of this before. If you have, that's awesome. But there are 3 ways to make sure that you are making satisfactory academic progress. And if you violate these, that can cause you to lose your aid, okay? I'm sure that all of you have heard about this one. This is just basically maintaining your GPA. This is a very simple one, all right? So maintaining your GPA means keeping above a 2.0 GPA, okay? That's one way, okay? The other one is completion rate. This is the one I was talking about earlier about those withdrawals. You must successfully complete 67%, that's 2/3 of the total attempted credits that you've taken, okay? A withdrawal counts as an attempted credit. A drop doesn't count as an attempted credit, okay? A failed class receiving an F counts as an attempted credit. Your transfer classes count as an attempted credit, okay? So, so please know that. And this is again where it's holding you accountable to making sure that you pass and you complete 2/3 of your classes, okay? The third one is the maximum time frame. CSU wants to make sure that you are graduating at an appropriate time, right? Like you're not going to keep receiving aid for 10 years, right? Like they want you to make sure that you're graduate 4, 5, 6 years, depending on how many majors you have and how many credits that requires. All right, so the maximum time frame means that the total attempted credits must not exceed 150% of the credits needed to obtain that degree. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of majors need 120 credits. Okay, so to make it easy, if you are at 180 credits, right, that's 150%, then that means you should be graduating by that time. Okay, and that again includes those transfer credits and any attempted credits that you've taken throughout your time as an undergraduate student. All right, now those are the three. Okay, that's how it is that you maintain your financial status. Okay, and remain in good standing with CSU. Okay, now I have down here what happens if you fail to meet that requirement or if that requirement is violated. Well, as you all know, for the 2.0, right, if you get on academic probation, that's what happens, right? You're on AP1. That's kind of like a warning, and that means it's your warning semester saying like, hey, like you need to get your GPA above 2.0. If you do that, awesome, great. If not, if you go through that semester and you don't receive that 2.0 GPA, then you're put on academic probation 2. Okay, and that's your second warning. And this is where you really got to think about like how you're going to get your GPA above 2.0. If that doesn't happen, then that's where you're put on dismissal status. Okay, and that's where again you lose your financial aid and you can potentially be dismissed from the university. Okay, this is something that, of course, that you can appeal, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. But of course, that's what happens if that violation, if that requirement is violated. The other one, the completion rate, is let's say that you've done too many withdrawals and you have not completed 67% of your attempted credits, or you failed them. And that's very common, actually. Let's say that happens, then you're going to be contacted by the Office of Financial Aid, and they're going to ask you about why this is happening. Okay, and you can potentially lose your aid, or your aid can be put on hold. But this is where you have an opportunity to kind of explain why that has been happening, and that's why there's where you can submit an appeal. Okay, same thing for the maximum time frame, and this third one is usually for like graduating seniors, right? Those that are right about to graduate or like a few semesters away from graduation, because of how many credits they've taken so far. Okay, and this happens a lot with students who are maybe double majoring or double minoring, right? That they have to take a bunch of credits. Sure, that means that they have a lot more credits to have like before they get that violation, but of course that does mean that there's more opportunity to violate that. So if that happens, same thing, you're going to be contacted by the Office of Financial Aid, and they're going to tell you about that and kind of give you that warning. And this is where, again, you have the opportunity to submit an appeal, which is really good for you to understand a couple things there. So one of them is that you have to write your your extenuating circumstances. All right, that's what you're going to be told to write. And this is where you talk about like, why didn't you pass that class? Why did you withdraw from that class? Why haven't you graduated yet? And so they have to be valid. Okay, they're not going to give you your aid back unless it's going to be like a valid reason. Okay, so a valid reason is something like COVID-19 really impacted me. I could not learn with online classes. Something like I had a death in the family. This really impacted me. I could not concentrate on my studies. This was really impactful. That's a valid reason. Okay, if you are, getting a lot of therapy sessions and really have a disability where it makes it frustrating, that's a valid reason. And not a valid reason, not a good reason, is something that you woke up late for your exam. Your professor forgot to put the deadline for that exam. Something like that's not a valid reason. You're not going to get granted your aid if you say that is your reason for failing or withdrawing from that class. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? All good there? All right. Awesome. Cool. A couple more things. So a retroactive withdrawal is, this is hopefully something that nobody ever has to do, but this is in the small case that this is for later on. Like if you have a few semesters that you've already completed at CSU, if there's ever a semester where, a past semester, where you did not so well, you know, you have a bunch of withdrawals or failed classes and it just like really impacted your GPA and it really just impacted you overall, then you can petition for a retroactive withdrawal, which means that if you do this, basically all of your grades from that semester will be removed from your transcript, okay? And it doesn't have to be just one semester, okay? It can be continuous semesters. So basically, so verbatim it says, students can request that all grades in an academic period, that's one semester or more continuous enrollment, be retroactively removed from the transcript to be replaced by W's. Okay, so please know that that will count, that does affect your aid, and that will be on your transcript, just not as failing grades. Okay, so that's really good for your GPA if that were to happen. Again, in order for this to be granted, you all, of course, have to have those extenuating circumstances. All right. If you ever do have like issues or like not sure about like, well, what is an extenuating circumstance, or will this count as an extenuating circumstance, then of course you can always contact me. I'll have my contact information at the end, or of course your retention specialist would know this information. Okay, but the process of doing this is by, of course, you want to meet with your academic advisor before doing this. All right, and this is, of course, you know, you schedule a meeting with your retention specialist or academic advisor, and you have to make sure that your advisor will make sure to determine the eligibility, if you're eligible for it, and make sure that they submit the request with you via RamWeb. Okay. You're also encouraged to discuss this if you decide to do this with the Office of Financial Aid and any other applicable impacts. So if you're receiving outside scholarships, if you're with the Student Disability Center, if you're with other departments, you make sure to talk with them about how that's going to impact you as well. Okay. Any questions there? All good. Okay. All right, the last one I want to talk about, again, is hopefully one that you all don't have to do either, but this is, again, just so that you all are aware of this option. Okay, this is a university withdrawal. And a university withdrawal is refers to a student withdrawing from all classes for a given term, okay, in that specific given term. Starting on the first day of the term all the way until the last day of class before finals week. All right. Students would do a university withdrawal if something major has happened. All of a sudden, you know, maybe you're 4 weeks away from the semester ending, and all of a sudden something happens where you are no longer able to complete those classes. That's where it might be pretty good to do a university withdrawal. All right, and it's a similar process as a retroactive withdrawal. All right, again, talk with your advisor, talk with your retention specialist, and make sure to do this over RamWeb, but do so with your advisor. Okay, and that way you understand the consequences of it, you know, the impacts, you know, how that's benefiting you and how that's impacting you negatively. Okay, for this, of course, there is no deadline. However, if it's like before the drop deadline, then of course you should rather drop classes, right, instead of doing the university withdrawal, because if doing a university withdrawal will also give you those W's. Okay, but again, this is a good reason why you would do this as opposed to receiving those bad grades. Okay, so that's a little explanation about a couple of the academic policies, procedures, and deadlines that I did want to share with you all. And we are just about out of time, but I did want to leave some time open for you all to see if you had any questions or comments. Maybe, again, maybe you've done some of these and it worked out, or if it didn't work out. Any questions that you all have?
I just have a question about the evaluation form. Is it on the chat or is it the same evaluation form that was sent with the Zoom link?
If it's in the Zoom link, yeah, it would be the same one. There's only
Okay.
one.
All right.
So yes, it's also in the chat. Feel free to go ahead and do that in the chat. Or
Okay.
if it's from the Zoom link or even on our website, it's all the same link.
Okay. And then I had a question about the repeat deletes.
Mhm.
I can't really remember, but if you decide to repeat a class, does it have to be with the same professor?
It does not.
No.
Nope,
Okay.
absolutely not. You can repeat a class. It can be a different professor.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
I'm good. Thank you, though.
Pretty good. All right, awesome. Great. Make sure to complete that evaluation, everybody. That's how you're going to receive your credit. Yeah, any feedback would be awesome. Let me know what you were hoping to get that you didn't, what you got, and yeah, just anything you would like to share. Cool. All right. Anything else? If you're all good, then feel free to log off. Really do appreciate your time. Thank you all so much.
All right. Thank you.
Cool.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.